First of all, welcome to the channel and thank you for stopping by. When time permits, please consider subscribing. I would greatly appreciate it. Released in 2020, the KTM 390 Adventure has undergone very few and very insignificant changes, unless you consider adding spoked wheels that were available in the Power Parts in 2020 to the bike and making it the SW version a significant upgrade. With the updates done to the 2024 KTM Duke 390, it reignited the anticipation for an update to the 390 Adventure. It almost seemed inevitable that they would have to take the adjustments made to the Duke and bring them over. And now it seems we have the spy shots to prove it. Well, perhaps prove is the wrong word, but at the very least we have an incredibly good indication that these improvements will be here and be here in short order. Of course, this is not the first time we've expected an update to the 390 Adventure based on spy shots. As far back as late 21 and early 22, there were a plethora of shots for the bike. Now, the bike shots we saw previously, however, they were essentially the same design language as the 390 Adventure with spoked wheels. And it honestly looked like a very early prototype bike where they were trying to make changes to it, but nothing dramatic. The only exception being it had a very pretty, ready for production, seemingly aluminum swing arm. However, what we have now is an actual change to the engine that's already in production, an actual change to the frame already in production, an actual change to the KTM Classic Bug headlight, again, already in production. The bike we're seeing in the shots and the footage we have available to us now, to me shows that they've decided to make a significant departure away from the design language of the existing KTM 390 Adventure. This bike does not look so much as an evolution of the bike as going almost back to the drawing board. In all seriousness, when I look at this bike, the only thing that seems familiar to me are the KTM mirrors and the KTM grab handles. From a design perspective, what it looks like they did was take the plastics off of a Transalp, the body of the 690 Enduro R, the headlight from the Duke, and said, do something with all of this, show us a prototype, don't leave the room until you're done. And what we have today looks like an off-road bike based off of the Duke and plastics that are modernized, I guess, because that is a very popular look now. It's a significant departure from both the plastics on the 390 Adventure and the plastics that have been updated on both the 790 and 890 Adventure. From what we can see here, the trellis frame, a staple on most KTM Adventure bikes, has finally been brought to the platform. And from what we can tell, it's been brought over directly from the Duke 390. If you take a look at how the frame comes down to the swing arm, it looks identical to the one on the Duke 390. Which gives me pause because I believe a lot of the ergonomic issues that the 390 Adventure has is the fact that they did not adapt far enough away from the original Duke 390. It left the bike slightly hobbled by its street roots. Now that's not to say there aren't significant differences here, greater differences than we saw previously. While we do still have the underslung exhaust, it does look like there have been very significant changes, primarily the ground clearance. Now taking a look at pictures of the new bike and of the Duke, it doesn't seem like there's a significant difference in the space between the seat and the pegs. So this increased ground clearance is probably due to the fact that we now have the much asked for 21-inch front wheel and 18 rear. I'm not entirely sure people are going to be as satisfied having dual sport size wheels on here, but they were asked for and you can't complain that KTM is delivering, if about 3 years too late for the diehards. Now, to go along with these actual improvements for off-road, being the ground clearance and the larger wheels, we have the little things as well. It certainly looks like it's a seat very similar to the 890 Adventure on here. It does not look like the two-part seat that we find on a 390 Adventure. And we also seem to have a high fender. One of the things I think folks will notice and zoom in on as soon as they see these photos is the foot pegs. Now, to me, it does not look like the foot pegs are slanted as they were previously. That was a bone of contention with many owners, myself included, and it made many a third party a nice amount of money replacing those. So if we can finally use any old KTM pegs or pegs made for a 790 or 890, which cost 1/3 what leveled pegs do for the 390 Adventure, that will make the community extremely happy. Now we come to the unfortunate part. While they have retooled the engine by increasing the stroke, which is essentially, if not identically, to what Honda did with the 300L, it only adds 1 horsepower. And while it does add 3 foot-pounds of torque, and it does bring us down from 9,500 for maximum torque to 8,500, realistically, we're not going to notice a difference. Changing 1 tooth on your front sprocket would give your bike a lot more pull than this one does. It's still the same engine with a tweak. This is not, unfortunately for some, going to become the bike where you can torque your way through things. You're still going to have to deal with the fact that this engine is going to want a lot of revs, and if you don't feed it, it's not going to perform. In my opinion, KTM here has given the masses exactly what they're asking for. From the time this bike was in original spy shots back in 2018, folks were saying, I was hoping for a little 690. This does not look enough off-road for me. And after the bike came out, despite being a phenomenal sales success, if you were in any of the Facebook groups, if you were on Adventure Rider, most people were saying, I really wish my bike had more, add this for off-road. Ground clearance, bigger wheels, spoked wheels, more torque. Again, everyone really wanted a little 690 Enduro. And I think this one kind of is going to give you more of that. So again, hats off to KTM. They are 4 years late, but I think they're giving the market exactly what it's asked for. Now, this isn't going to be the ideal bike for me because I'm an adventure rider. I need to do hundreds, if not literally 1,000+ miles to get to the places I want to ride. And this bike is not going to be quite as comfortable for that. But for the guy, and that's probably most of them, who rides 50 miles and gets to the forest, or rides 10 miles and gets to a trail, I think they're going to love this bike. I think this is KTM listening to the market in a way that no one else is doing. Just look at the bullet points here. 21-inch wheel, check. Rally tower, check. More torque, check. More power, sort of. I don't think we can call 1 horsepower more power, just flat foot pegs. God knows almost everybody asked for those. Check. An exhaust designed for off-road? No, not exactly. All right, if you stuck around, I appreciate it, and take care.